Okay, let's switch to facial expressions for a moment. We talked to, actually, I think it was just the last episode that got put out, or maybe two ago. We spoke to a poker professional about tells, and we also talked to a behavioral psychologist about charisma. And they indicated that there's a lot of information that you can gain by paying really close attention to a person's face when they're speaking to you. So I'm going to touch on a couple, and you can kind of like we did with the verbal tells. You can explain to us, yeah, this is real. It's not really real. This is important. This is what you should do. This is what you should look at. That might be helpful. So a lot of this is around these micro expressions. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
So oftentimes somebody will make one facial expression while another one kind of leaks through in a flash. And that's what a micro expression is. It's really the unconscious expression of a particular emotion. And again, so Paul Ekman, who is one of the great researchers on this, identified 7 emotions: anger, contempt, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, and surprise. And he said, you know what, all of these can be viewed on the face if you actually know what to look for, if you can look carefully at the eyebrows and the way the face and the smile can be asymmetrical in certain places and so forth. And he identified what the expressions look like and came up with a system for how to view them. I went through training on this as well. And one of the things that we found is that, of course, the face is a messy thing. I mean, anger is usually confused with disgust. Contempt can easily be confused with a kind of happy expression. Disgust can sometimes be confused with anger. Fear can oftentimes be confused with surprise. And so we have to be careful because it's a muddy world. We usually feel and show many emotions at once, but there is a way to find a couple of expressions that are associated with deception that are important to know about. For example, most expressions are completely symmetrical when they're in their true authentic form, with the exception of contempt, which is kind of an asymmetrical sneer. When someone sneers, it's kind of the lip corner is pulled up and in on one side of the mouth. When you have that contempt, it is associated with deception. Oftentimes. Doesn't mean someone's necessarily lying, but you could be in the middle of a relationship that's a little bit toxic.
I will tell you that I'm in deep trouble on this because it is possible that I'm part Vulcan, and my mouth cannot say yes, have some, when my mind is saying no, thank you, don't want any. I just can't get away with it.
That's a great thing. That's a great thing.
Yeah,
I don't want to be. I mean, because when you have that discordance between the body, the language, and the face, and there isn't that kind of symmetry, people really do pick up on you as being inauthentic. And so to have that desire to be authentic and to not be able to show, to show an expression that contradicts what's going on in the situation is really, it's a lovely quality. It's a great thing. Don't lose that.
I don't know. I think I've missed the opportunity to take advantage of certain situations based on that. But if you say that it's good, then I'm going to stay with it. All right. So squelch expression. The reliable muscle patterns, you started to touch on that. For example, smiling. When you smile, it makes crow's feet around your eyes, right? But a fake smile and a real smile, you could tell the difference.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's great. You really have studied this material. I'm really impressed with your ability to understand it so deeply. And you're exactly right. So the face, oftentimes we will look at a smile and we'll think, oh, they're happy. They like that meal. They like this conversation. They want to do business with me. But a real smile is not in the cheeks. The real smile is in the crow's feet around the eyes. So you have to be careful again, because we call duping delight, where the kind of unconscious smile at getting away with a whopper can oftentimes be associated with deception. So you need to know kind of what's a normal muscle pattern for the face and what's associated with different emotions in order to interpret them accurately.
That's back to the baseline that you were talking about earlier, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. What about blink rate? Is that a real thing? People blink a lot?
Blink rate is really complicated. There's controversial science on this. Some science says that blink rate is increasing when you're being deceptive, and some say the cognitive load is so high that you still the blink rate. And so as much as we know right now is that if there's a shift from your baseline, there may be deception or there may be at least an increase in load associated with it, but we're not 100% sure.
Right. So there's a couple of things with regard to expressions that have to do with your physiology. One of them is pupil dilation. And I assume, and this gets back to when they used to do lie detector tests, which I guess are not even valid, but your body does certain things internally that you just can't stop, right? Is pupil dilation a sign of a lie, potentially?
So it can be very much. It's a sign of cognitive load being high. And we know that oftentimes when we're in the process of a lie, one of the things we cannot control is the dilation of our pupils. I sit on the advisory board of a company called Converis, which has several ocular measurements. It's a lie detection company that has technology that is really upending the polygraph and is more reliable and inexpensive and scalable, and it's being used by governments and institutions all over the world. And this technology really focuses on singularly ocular measurements, among other things. And so we know, for example, that pupil dilation can be associated with deception. It's one of many, many ocular measurements that the technology is now leapfrogging our human ability to detect. And it's very, very interesting to look at that in terms of kind of what the future of lie detection is going to look like, because it will probably be this kind of combination of the human across the table looking at micro expressions and squelch expressions and reliable muscle patterns and blink rate and pupil dilation. But at the same time, we will have technology that's able to look more deeply at those than we can as a human.